Dragon Ball Super Broly finally made Broly canon after all this time, and made a boatload of money in the process. Cha-ching! Now that's what we call a win-win. With that in mind, we're already thinking about the next Dragon Ball Super movie that's supposedly in the works, and what it could be about. From expanded lore to characters we'd love to see, we'll talk about what we'd like to see next from the Dragon Ball franchise. In the original Dragon Ball series, we learned that, upon looking at the moon, Goku would turn into a terrifying giant ape capable of destroying poor old Grandpa Gohan. To be frank, watching Saiyans turn into giant apes and go berserk is pretty awesome, and something we wish we got to see more of. But if a Saiyan is able to control their golden ape form, they can achieve Super Saiyan 4, a transformation which, so far, has been limited to Dragon Ball GT and a bunch of non-canon video games. Many fans believe Dragon Ball Super Broly was hinting at the return of this transformation based on Broly's Wrath state. It has similarities to Super Saiyan 4 in that they both use the strength of the great ape without actually looking like one. But during Wrath state, Broly is totally out of control. The return of this underutilized Saiyan form is definitely something we wouldn't mind seeing on the big screen. Now, here at CBR, we admit to being just a little bit critical of the Dragon Ball GT series, but we have to begrudgingly admit that it does have its merits. One of which was Baby, one of the last remaining vestiges of the Tuffle race. You might remember the Tuffles as the creatures that inhabited planet Vegeta back before it was planet Vegeta. There's a lot of lore about this former planet, and most of it is inconsistent. Some say the Tuffles treated the Saiyans like slaves, and others claim the Saiyans were merely jealous of the Tuffles' advanced society. Does the truth lay somewhere in the middle? Baby is one villain we wouldn't mind seeing return, and it'd be interesting to learn the truth about the Tuffle race. And if perhaps Baby and Dr. Lychee weren't the last of them. Frankly, we wouldn't mind learning that they found another planet and are living happily, instead of thinking they got wiped out by a bunch of giant monkeys. Speaking of things we didn't hate from Dragon Ball GT, let's talk about the Shadow Dragons. They're formed by negative energies in the Dragon Ball universe, and they make up Black Smoke Shenron when combined. Pretty much every work of fiction involving wishes contains a monkey's paw caveat, and the Dragon Ball universe is no exception. All of those wishes our heroes made with the Dragon Balls caused negative energy to accumulate inside of them, ultimately causing Black Smoke Shenron to be released and the Shadow Dragons to wreak havoc. Personally, we blame Oolong, wasting a wish on underpants way back in Dragon Ball for this. The Shadow Dragons were a surprisingly cool threat, and we think they could easily be incorporated into the next Dragon Ball Super movie. Clearly, we just want the movie to be filled with monkeys and dragons. Is that really too much to ask? We've been following Goku around since he was a little boy, and he's a grandfather now, even though he looks great for his age. While there are tons of characters in the Dragon Ball universe, it might be time for some divergence from the main storyline. Yeah, we're talking about the possibility of spin-offs, and we think the new Dragon Ball Super movie could be a great way to set off a new series, or 10 new series, considering how much money could be made. Every Dragon Ball fan has a list of characters they want to see more of, and a list of some that went away and never returned. Heck, for all we know, the next movie could feature Launch, Chiatsu, and Tien Shinhan living together on the farm Akira Toriyama says they settled down on. We're not saying it'd be good, but we're saying we'd watch it. Oh, we'd definitely watch it. But before you start moaning and groaning about how the last thing we need is a bunch of spin-offs, consider this: Universe 6. It's the twin universe of Universe 7, and because of this, it's incredibly similar to the universe we all know and love. As we're sure you've noticed, characters like Kaba, Kale, and Caulifla are kind of like some certain Saiyans we all know and love, Considering how successful the various what-ifs about the Dragon Ball universe have been, it doesn't seem too crazy to think one of them could become canon, and if it takes place in another universe, it wouldn't necessarily have to impact what's happening in Universe 7. The potential for a crossover would be huge, and we could easily see this being featured in subsequent films. Speaking of familiar faces we want to see more of, how awesome would it be to get some more of Jiren? He's one of the toughest foes Goku has ever faced, and we don't say that lightly. Jiren loves justice as much as Goku loves stuffing his face with food. Unlike many other characters, Jiren isn't bogged down with selfish desires or lofty aspirations. Originally, Jiren was going to be a bit more outspoken, but Akira Toriyama liked the idea of a more quiet character with a tragic past. That being said, just because he's a little soft-spoken doesn't mean he doesn't deserve his time to shine. Maybe we're reading too much into things, but we did catch the smallest glimpse of our guy during the movie Dragon Ball Super Broly. Sure, it was just a flashback when Goku was talking about the Tournament of Power, but let us dream. There was a time when the series focused quite a bit on Goku's son Gohan, before rather abruptly switching gears. Apparently, Akira Toriyama was setting up Gohan to take over as primary protagonist, which is why the show made such a big deal about his potential strength. But then he decided to stick with everyone's favorite Saiyan, Goku, and Gohan got relegated to a more minor role. Still, we don't think it's too late for Gohan, and there are many fans out there who'd love to see him in a more prominent role. There was all that build-up about how strong Gohan is, and he has the potential to surpass Goku if he just buckle down and gets serious about his training. Unlike his father and other pure Saiyans, Gohan doesn't have the same zeal for endless battle, so it'd be interesting to see what would compel him to gain some strength. It can be demoralizing to have a sibling who's cooler than you, and Frieza definitely knows what that's like because his brother is quite literally cooler, or at least he is in a variety of non-canon works, much to the dismay of many fans. Well, he did have a cameo in Dragon Ball GT, but that's a role hardly befitting an awesome character like Cooler. He has the awesome power of his little brother Frieza, but he's slightly more chill and is a little less ego-driven. The two had a next-level sibling rivalry, and Cooler once said that if Goku hadn't destroyed him, he would have done it himself. Like Broly, he's a popular character in the movies that fans have been hoping to see more of for quite some time. And hey, since Broly made it to the big screen in a Dragon Ball Super movie, why not Cooler? There are a ton of great characters out there who'd we like to see introduced into the official canon. But there are also canon characters we can't get enough of. Future Trunks comes from a rough and tumble apocalyptic timeline, and frankly it shows. The Future Trunks saga is a fan favorite, and because his existence hinges on an alternate timeline, there are a few different versions of Future Trunks to choose from, including the possibility of one we haven't met yet. Not only do the fans love Future Trunks, but so do the people working on the show. Funimation composer Bruce Falconer claims Future Trunks is his favorite character in the entire series, and American voice actor Christopher Sabat claims Future Trunks is his favorite right next to Vegeta. Did we mention we love a good Super Saiyan transformation? Because we definitely do, especially the more difficult it is to master. Ultra Instinct is such a challenge that even the gods struggle to get it down correctly. We saw Goku take on this form during the Tournament of Power, much to the amazement of pretty much everyone. But in typical Goku fashion, his brain hasn't quite caught up with his body. He can use Ultra Instinct, but he can't really control when it happens. It just sort of kicks in at the last moment before he's about to get defeated. This is helpful, but it'd be awesome to see Goku learn how to truly master Ultra Instinct and be able to call upon it when he isn't mere moments from getting absolutely destroyed. At the very least, we'd really like to see Vegeta's face if Goku learned how to pull off this incredible feat. With a nickname like Planet Eater, you know you're dealing with a powerful character. After all, we've seen how much Goku eats, and he's never devoured an entire planet, at least not yet. Moro is the antagonist of the Galactic Patrol Prisoner saga in the manga, and he destroyed 320 planets before the saga even started. He was sentenced to sacrifice his life for his crimes, but the problem here is that he was simply too powerful for anyone to destroy. The solution was to simply imprison him forever, which worked well, right up until it didn't. Moro is a nearly unstoppable force who straight up kicked Grand Supreme Kai into outer space. Yeah, if you're looking for a powerful intergalactic villain for the next Dragon Ball Super movie, we have to think Moro is an obvious choice. Plus, it's always interesting to learn more about the magic in the Dragon Ball universe and how it stacks up to more physical powers. Another non-Saiyan character we'd like to see in a Dragon Ball Super movie is Android 21 from the Dragon Ball FighterZ. She's at least as smart as the famous Dr. Gero, who created the androids in the first place. Of course, he's not smart enough to know the difference between an android and a cyborg, so maybe that's not saying too much. Android 21 is pretty much the personification of the word hangry, and she's not above turning people into treats and devouring them. If she doesn't quell her insatiable hunger, her split personality becomes evident, and she transforms into a truly evil entity. If you need any more evidence that Android 21 is a character we need more of, consider that she was created by Akira Toriyama himself. Her and Launch both have split personalities. What is it with Toriyama and women with split personalities? While we're not holding our breath about ever seeing Launch again, we wouldn't be upset to see the next Dragon Ball Super movie involve the insatiable Android 21. Akira Toriyama has clearly taken steps to make naming his characters as painless as possible. Saiyans are named after food, Bulma's family is named after articles of clothing, and then we have Hit, the Hitman. Yeah, maybe it's not the coolest moniker out there, but this is someone you definitely don't want to underestimate. He's the legendary assassin of Universe 6, and he's been around for 1,000 years. When it comes to taking down his targets, he prefers to finish the job in a single hit, so hey, at least he's efficient. He can also strike fear into the heart of Goku and manipulate time, which are no easy feats. If you thought Tao Pai Pai gave Goku a rough time, Hit makes him look like an actual baby, not Baby the Tuffle. It seems like we're just barely scratched the surface of Hit's character, and it could be interesting to see him incorporated into the next movie. Sometimes it's easy to recognize a villain in the Dragon Ball universe. For instance, the giant goat man eating planets is probably bad, but then there are villains who hide in plain sight. and we were almost positive we saw quite a few of them. No, we're not talking about Frieza. Everyone saw his betrayal coming from a million miles away. We're talking about the Grand Priest and his angels, who are almost certainly up to something nefarious in the Dragon Ball Super franchise. The Grand Priest is always acting shady, while his angels seem very blasé in the face of all his destruction and pain. Some fans even believe whatever villainous plan they're up to was going to get revealed, but something changed at the last moment. Still, we're not letting our guard down, and we wouldn't be at all surprised if they emerge in the next movie as straight-up villains. Everyone knows the Tournament of Power was awesome, but of course there was even more action in the manga. Previously, the Gods of Destruction had held a similar competition for the amusement of the ultra-powerful Xeno. It was kind of like the warm-up for the Tournament of Power, and the Grand Priest insisted the Gods of Power display their full power or face the possibility of deletion. Seeing more of the Gods of Destruction is definitely something we'd like. Who'd say no to more destruction, huh? Plus, it could easily tie into whatever the Grand Priest and his angels are up to, which again is definitely something bad. We're sure of it. He really did seem a bit too interested in seeing the full might of the Gods of Destruction in the manga. Plus, there are more than a few unanswered questions about these ultra-powerful deities we wouldn't mind knowing the answers to. One God of Destruction we're all pretty well acquainted with at this point is Beerus from Universe 7. Come on, what's there not to like about this guy? Other than the fact that he causes a ton of destruction, of course. He looks like a cat, he loves to take naps, yet his fellow Gods of Destruction seem to really hate him. He took part in the all-universe hide-and-seek tournament hosted by Xeno, who's not the kind of being you want to make angry, but Beerus couldn't resist the opportunity to grab some quick Z's and fell asleep for a brief cat nap for 50 years. This angered Xeno, which put everyone in danger and supposedly caused them to despise Beerus. But is that the real reason? After all, how mad can you be at a kitty for falling asleep? That's kind of their thing. Some fans believe that there may be more to the story, and if there is, we definitely want to hear about it. Just right after this nap. As we get more involved with the cosmology of the Dragon Ball universe, we wonder if some positions might open up for some of our favorite characters. During the Tournament of Power, many fans wondered if Frieza was being set up to be a new God of Destruction. We mentioned that the fact that his peers don't think very highly of him, so it's interesting to note that Beerus doesn't like Frieza one bit. He doesn't take kindly to Frieza's arrogance, and thinks he needs to be brought down several pegs. Making Frieza a God of Destruction would not only be interesting to the audience, but it'd make Beerus angry, which could spell disaster. Could this be a way of pushing the conflict between Beerus and his fellow Gods of Destruction to a head? But Frieza isn't the only character many fans believe could conceivably receive some sort of celestial promotion. It certainly seems like there's nothing Goku can't do, but could he transcend to a godlike role in the Dragon Ball universe? After all, he spent time training with Whis, the angel attendant to Beerus. Could Goku possibly be in training to become an assistant to a God of Destruction himself? Or could it be Goku who's being groomed to be a God of Destruction? Keep in mind the Gods of Destruction aren't evil, they're performing a natural function in the circle of life, Lion King style, you know. Could Whis be in on the plan to dispose Beerus and put Goku in his place? Would Goku be able to adapt to such a role, which, on the plus side, would allow him to fight as much as he wants? Ultra Instinct is pretty much a god-tier talent, so it could mean something significant that Goku was able to use this ability during the Tournament of Power. Everyone knows about the traditional Dragon Balls and how they summon the wish-granting dragon Shenron. Over the course of the series, the rules have wavered somewhat regarding what people can wish for, but generally, Shenron is only limited by the powers of his creator, Kami. But the Super Dragon Balls are something else entirely, and they have no limitations on what they can grant. This begs the question, just how powerful is the creator of the Super Dragon Balls? According to Master Zuno, they were created by the dragon god Zalama and allow the user to summon Super Shenron. But we really don't know too much about Zalama, and this is an intriguing part of the Dragon Ball universe lore which hasn't really been mentioned much. He also split the Super Dragon Balls between Universe 6 and 7, which is pretty unusual and has also never really been explained. We first met Goku when he was just a little boy, or at least looked and acted like one. We've watched him grow up a lot since then, and we like to think we've managed our expectations for his character. He's never going to be the most brilliant guy in the world, but he has a good heart, and he's come a long way over the years. Many fans feel like Dragon Ball Super was a step back in terms of character development, and showed Goku as more of, well, a complete doofus. He's had his shining moments for sure, but fans were expecting more after all these years. Maybe instead of focusing on new characters, new powers, and expanding the lore, the next Dragon Ball Super movie could just focus on our boy Goku. We know it sounds crazy, but it could just be crazy enough to work. We know there are limitless possibilities for what could happen in the next Dragon Ball Super movie, and now we want to hear from you. Share your predictions with us in the comment section, and then click on the subscribe button for more videos from us here at CBR. Bye for now.